Okay, folks, so I have a different setup today, and I may have a different setup moving forward. I think I'm going to change it every so often. I find that I like to record as soon as I get home because I really want to use the natural light for my lighting and not artificial light. However, as soon as I get home, Gizmo wants my attention. What you don't see, because I edit all of that out, is Gizmo is jumping up on my lap and jumping up on the desk and getting in the camera and meowing and doing all sorts of crazy antics around the apartment because he wants my attention. And naturally so. I've been gone all day. I have been gone for 12 hours. I have very long work days. And so it makes sense. When I'm here, he wants my attention. He doesn't want me to be on a camera talking to y'all about all sorts of things. He says, pay attention to me. So I came up with the idea, oh, I should just sit on the couch. And this is one of our favorite spots that we like to be cuddled up together on. And so let's sit here. And as I'm playing with him, I'll talk to y'all. I have his little fish line with his toy on the end, and so he's playing. And until he gets bored of that, then he'll get up on the couch and just sit and chill. But until then, I'm going to be playing with him. So you'll hear him in the background. I want to read to you these definitions that I wrote down last year. Worthy, having worth or value. Then I looked up worth. A moral or personal value, merit, excellence. Then I looked up merit. A praiseworthy quality, virtue. Then I looked up virtue. A conformity to a standard of right, a particular moral excellence. Then I looked up moral. Of or relating to principles of right and wrong in behavior, ethical. I think I looked up ethical after that, and then it cycled back to pretty much the same definitions that I had looked up and just told you just now, like worthy and all that kind of stuff. I was looking up these definitions, one, because as someone who truly loves and hates the English language, I like to know words. I feel as though I can use words, I'm not going to generalize, but I can use words very flippantly and don't understand the context or the meaning. I do. I was raised by an English teacher, so I know words. It's the reason why I look up words, because I want to make sure that what I'm using the word for is correct. Most of the time it is, but I just like to check and make sure. And the reason why I was looking up worthy is because I was in a therapy session. This was years ago. And I was recognizing that the pearl under all of these narratives that I had been telling myself for so long was unworthiness, feeling unworthy. My therapist and I had been working on untethering myself from this unworthiness through EMDR sessions. If you don't know anything about EMDR, I'll put a link in the description. It's absolutely wonderful. It has been transformative for my healing specifically. I cannot say enough wonderful positive things about EMDR. As with all things, I tend to think that if I could just find the starting point, if I could just follow the thread back to the one place or the one thing that kicked all of this off, then I could fix that one thing, I could work on that one thing, and then all will be well. As we know, that's not how life works. I got down to the thread of unworthiness, or I got down to the pearl of unworthiness, and I said, okay, this is the thing. As I started working more and more, I began to recognize that there was a deeper, darker feeling of worthlessness. That really hurt when I came to that realization, but it felt very true and very accurate for me. Now, the truth of the matter is that the reasoning or the cause for the inception of these narratives is not really important. But what is important is that I didn't even feel worthy of anything good, anything wonderful, anything joyous. The true authentic me I thought was not good enough, that I had to put on some sort of persona in order to gain love, compassion, patience, grace. And here's the kicker. You would think that I was really wanting those things from other people, but the more and more I was really investigating this for myself, I recognized I really wanted to feel worthy for myself. And that was a hard pill for me to swallow, because my performing of, hey, let me do all this stuff so you can like me. Hey, all right. Do you like this? Do you like that? I would develop friendships, romantic relationships, certain ways I moved in family circles and family relationships. There would be ways that I would shape and mold myself into a person that I thought this other person that I was interacting with would like. But I could never maintain that persona because it was not me. At some point, I would get angry and resentful and pull away, and not so much, once again, because of the other person. I would get so frustrated with myself because I felt as though I was betraying myself, that I was letting myself down by not being me. Once I had this revelation, it was great and it was wonderful. But then I had to deal with, what if I start becoming my authentic self and then people fall away? I had to really be okay with that, number one, particularly with people. It's always easier with people that you're just meeting, because they don't know all of the different parts of you, or they don't know the history. The relationships that I had established over years and decades, that was more of a struggle to be able to say to myself, let me be more of my authentic self with these people so that they can love the real me. Because I was realizing these people have not been in a relationship with Kendall. They've been in a relationship with someone else that I've created that they think is Kendall, but it's really not Kendall. And not only is that not fair to me, it's not fair to them. It's not fair to the other people that I'm in a relationship with. I want to be very, very clear. This persona that I had created, it wasn't so far off to the left or to the right of the core of who I am. There were bits and pieces of me, but I dressed it up a little bit more. I put a little bit more shine. I had a little more glitter. I had a little more pizzazz, just so that it would come across as more appealing and more attractive to other people. As my mom told me so many years ago, such a wise person, relationships are a mirror, they're a reflection. What I was giving out to others, I really needed to be doing that for myself. The performance, the act, was going outwardly, when really what I was hoping was that it would bounce back and come back, reverberate back to me through other people. But guess what? These other people don't know what's going on. They don't know these negative narratives that I have. They don't know that. And even if I did share it, okay, what are they going to do about it? Nothing. There's nothing that they can do. I'm the one that's responsible for that. That was heavy. That was heavy to come to terms with and recognize. The performance also was exhausting. I had been doing it for years, off and on, switching around, doing different moves. I'm a former dancer. I studied tap, ballet, jazz, hip hop, modern, African, did some flamenco. I did all the things. I never really enjoyed performing on stage. I loved dancing for myself. That was what I really truly enjoyed. I never wanted to be an entertainer. Being on stage took a lot of effort. I think it was apparent that I did not like to perform. I didn't necessarily give off this energy, this vibe of, ooh, Kendall's a really, really good dancer. And for many, many years, I believed that I was kind of just skating by. I wasn't really doing that well. In either case, I'm kind of getting off track. But what I'm trying to say is that the performance was exhausting. Getting off the stage and trying to muster up this other person that I had to be just so I could appear to be happy on stage performing was exhausting. And I did that for years as a dancer, not realizing that I was doing that as a human. The real pivotal moment for me was combining the therapy and the spiritual. This has been really, for me, so much of the core of my work and why I started my business. All throughout my life, there seemed to be not only two separate lanes, but two separate highways where therapy lived and where spirituality lived. And they never intersected, they never merged together. They always felt completely separate from each other. At some point, I started to combine the two. It was important to me that I had a therapist who understood my spirituality. I needed that to be a core tenet in my therapy work because spirituality is so important to me. I was also bringing therapy into my spirituality. And when I began to mix those two, I had so much more gains in my transformation, in my healing, to really see traction in the work that I was doing. All of this work that I had been doing came to a climax. There was this rocket moment where I had a really, really in-depth, very vulnerable conversation with God. And I bared everything. As I was talking to God, which I had done ever since I was a kid, this was nothing new to me. I always felt that I had a personal connection and relationship with God. But this conversation was the first time that I got honest with God about how I felt about myself. These were things that I was thinking in my head, but I didn't even bring them to God. I didn't even say it out loud. Maybe I would journal it, but it's still in my head, really, if I'm journaling it. I'm not saying it out loud. I'm writing it down, sure. Writing it down is great, but it wasn't coming out of my body. When I sat in my closet and released everything about how I thought about myself, how I felt about myself, just the nasty negative things that I had said, and it was coming out, and I started crying, and I felt this overwhelming wave of love and peace just wash over me. It was like I could feel God crying as I was crying. I'm crying because I was feeling all this shame and guilt of these narratives, and oh my gosh, I had been thinking about this, or this has been the script that had been playing in my mind for so long. But then I was feeling this other cry that was God crying with me, saying, oh my gosh, why? And while I knew that you felt this because it's God, it's spirit, it knows all things, it was important for me to get it out verbally. It was important for me to say it so that God could hear it, so that I could recognize, be accountable to it, be honest and truthful with myself about it, and then release it. There's no tangible thing that I could tell you. There's not even any words that I could look up in a dictionary that could give you some sort of idea of how I felt so enveloped and wrapped in love in that moment. But when I tell you I was enveloped and I was wrapped in love in such a way that I had never, ever felt before. And that was the moment that changed everything, because then I said, I didn't have to do anything to be worthy. I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to perform. And more importantly, I'm performing for these people who they're in their own world, they're doing their own thing. Yes, we might be in relationship together, but they're in their siloed world. The most important person that I needed to show up for was myself. The most important grand energy that needed to hear how I felt so that it could then remind me just how worthy I am simply by existing. The fact that I am alive means that I'm worthy. I'm not going to get into the details of how I even got here in terms of my parents, but when I went back into my history and I had more information about my mother and father and how their relationship and their dynamic came to be and how I came to be and how the start of my life was kind of rocky to begin with, it suddenly became this exploding moment of, you intended for me to be here. You had every intention, God, you had every intention of me being here. And that alone makes me worthy. There's nothing else that I have to do to prove my worthiness. I simply have to breathe and be. Y'all, I mean, God loves me. I love me. I love me now. I truly understand what self-love means. I was talking about it. I was posting about it. I would do all the things for years about self-love, not ever having a true felt sense of what self-love is. I know it now unequivocally. There's still times where I get a little shaky. There's still some times where I may question some things, but that core foundation of knowing how much I love myself, how much my creator loves me, that has never gone away. And let me tell you something, that's not religious. That's just energy. That's just pure, unfettered, unconditional love. I'm worthy simply because I exist. And when I reflect on how I got here, when I reflect on everything that could possibly have made it so that I would not be here, even when I was born and throughout my life, when I think about all the things that could have stopped me from continuing to live, I'm still here. That alone makes me worthy. So I'm not going to perform worthiness for anybody else. And I more so am in tune with myself and saying and reminding myself, Kendall, you're born of pure love. You're born of pure love. There's nothing else that you need to do than just remind yourself of that. And you don't have to perform for these people. You don't have to shuck and jive. You don't have to tap dance. You don't have to walk on extra. You don't have to do none of that. Because the people that are meant to be in your life will be in your life. God will gravitate and magnetize those people that will be on the same vibrational frequency as you. All I had to do was get rid of all of that calcified mud and guck that had been all around me and just get down to that beautiful pearl, that beautiful jewel of self and recognition of I'm worthy simply because I exist. Y'all. Oh, the journey. I thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like, please comment, and subscribe. This whole channel is for Black women over 40. I know that we're all watching YouTube for various reasons. You might as well find some content in a community that will build you up and that we can all learn how to love on each other and support each other in amazing, replenishing, restorative ways. Let's do this. So I'll catch you on the next video, y'all. Bye.